10 lies about Jesus. The one that they should have put up there, though, was that he was just merely a man. That some of you Muslims and Unitarians and Jehovah's Witnesses and whatnot want to say. That's what they should have put at number one, to be honest with you. That's the biggest lie that was told. But hey, it is what it is, man.
This is perhaps the most popular religious figure around the world. And with that level of popularity, there are bound to be some misconceptions and just some plain lies about Jesus. In this episode, I'll be sharing 10 of the biggest lies about Jesus that you need to know. Welcome back to FTD Facts. My name is Leroy Kenton, and I want you guys to stick around till the end of this video just to see how many of these lies that you actually knew. Okay, so let's jump right into this. Lie at number 10. And this lie is that Jesus wrote the New Testament. When it comes to the Bible in general, archaeology and the study of...
do people really not know that? Like, well, actually, no. Now that I'm thinking about it, yeah, because people think that the whole Bible was written by one person. People think that the Bible is just a book that was continuously written, which blows my mind. So I can actually see that people thought that Jesus wrote the Bible. I'd never once in my life, without even being, where I'm at now and learning about church history and stuff like that, would have thought that Jesus wrote the Bible, because technically, dang near all the books got people's names on it, wrote it. So, there ain't no book of Jesus, but, hey, maybe they thought he wrote Hebrews or something like that. I don't know. But, okay, if people believe that, Lord willing, stop it.
Written sources have shed some light on the history of both halves of the Bible, the Old Testament and the New Testament. Old Testament contains the story of the children of Israel, among other things, before the birth of Jesus, and then the New Testament is from the birth of Jesus onward. However, although the New Testament is filled with many teachings of Jesus, Jesus in fact didn't write any portion of the New Testament, nor did he write any of the Old Testament for that matter. Of course he couldn't, because he wasn't even born yet. Traditionally, 13 of the 27 books...
Hold on now. Though he wasn't technically born in the flesh, I mean, that doesn't necessarily mean that Jesus couldn't have wrote the Old Testament, because obviously Jesus was still there. Because Jesus was in the beginning, The Son has always been and always will be. You hitting that Jesus just being, the man, we're going to have some issues there, partner, but, let's hope not.
Of the New Testament of the Bible were attributed to the Apostle Paul, who famously converted to Christianity after meeting Jesus in a vision on the road to Damascus, and he wrote a series of letters that helped spread the faith. Although the Gospels of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John that begin the New Testament of the Bible are believed to be eyewitness testimony, as well as the words and teachings, the birth, the death, and the resurrection of Jesus are listed in their books. But no, Jesus didn't personally write any portion of the New Testament. Lie number 9, Jesus was white. This is the most common image of Jesus that's been seen around the world. He's light-skinned with a beard.
Hold on,
he has long hair.
Time out, bro. I'm light-skinned with a beard. Check it out. Bro, most of the depictions of Jesus, they not light-skinned, bro. It's okay. He's white. They make him white. Blonde hair, blue eye, or not blonde hair, but brown hair, blue eyes, all that. They make him white. So cool. This ain't light-skinned. Light-skinned isn't Casper, right? You can't be clear like this depiction is and light-skinned. That don't make sense. No, stop playing like that, bro. Jesus is out here looking like Sheamus from WWE in a lot of these pictures. So, don't try to say he's light-skinned. Come on now, there are light-skinned Jesuses. That's true. There's black Jesuses, Korean Jesus, if you see 21 Jump Street, stuff like that. But it's all right to say the brother white. The brother white is all get out right now. Pasty, out here looking like Elmer.
On facial reconstruction of 2,000-year-old skulls from Palestine in order to get a sense of what Jesus might have looked like. Olive skin, black hair, and larger, not so pointed nose as he's normally depicted with. The lie coming at number 8 is that Muslims don't believe in Jesus. Of course, Jesus is the central figure of Christianity, so he's often just associated with that faith. However, the Quran, the Muslim holy book, mentions Jesus many times as an important holy figure. While he's not believed to be divine or referred to as the Son of God in any way, he is, however, commonly acknowledged and considered to be a mighty messenger of God in the Islamic faith. Also, the Quran contains a surah in it titled Surah Maryam, and it contains many instances throughout the life of Jesus. This next lie may come as a shock Jesus is Christian? Well, in fact, Jesus was a Jew. I did mention that a little bit earlier, but
people really be thinking that Jesus is Christian, huh? So people really out here believing that. That's crazy. Yo, Jesus was a Christian, y'all. Huh? I personally ain't never heard that. I actually heard people say that, nobody should be Christians because Jesus wasn't a Christian. So I've actually heard that one, but
his disciples, all of them, they were Jews. He regularly worshipped in Jewish communal worship as well. But a Christian is a follower of Christ.
Amen.
So Jesus himself is the Christ, the anointed one, the Messiah. So it wouldn't make sense to follow himself. Apart from that, though, the term Christian only appeared well into the book of Acts of the New Testament, Acts chapter 11, when they were given that name by other people. But before that, though, the followers of Jesus were just called something like the followers of the way, or they were just believed to be a Jewish sect that would follow Jesus. This next slide is kind of funny, but Jesus was called Jesus. That is a lie. As we mentioned earlier, Jesus was Jewish.
Okay, I can see if they're referring to actually what he was called at that time, that he would have been called Jesus, unless it was by, the Greek-speaking people, because that's just the Greek rendition of his name, if that's even the word I can use. So, I mean, really, that's not really a lie. I mean, because if Greek people talk to him, they would call him Jesus, I'm assuming. Or anybody else from any other religion, or not religion, excuse me, tongue, would have called him whatever their tongue refers to him as. Just like if I was Spanish, people would say Alberto and all this fun stuff. And if, there's a woman named Alberta, excuse me, they would say, no, they would still say Alberta. By the way, I ain't never seen a woman named Alberta before, and that's probably a good thing, because that's really not a good name. I ain't going for it. My name, I got old name, right? And because of that, I got old people tendencies. I was told at one point in time that people named Albert was born with hard bottoms and a briefcase. So, I believe it. So I understand. But anyway, okay, so this one, I'm not really rocking with it, kind of, sort of.
By birth and by religion, and it therefore makes sense that he would have a Hebrew name. That's the language of the Jews. But the name Jesus isn't a Hebrew name, so we have a problem there. Well, this is mainly to do with language. Pronounced as Yeshua, but when the name is translated into English, it becomes Joshua. So interestingly, the Quran refers to Jesus as Isa. So Jesus, Joshua, Yahashua, Yeshua, Isa, all of them the exact same name. Okay, guys, we reached halfway in this episode. Really,
did you really just contradict yourself like that? How you say it's the exact same name, but in the same breath, not same breath, but same, topic of conversation, say that, they didn't call him that. But now if you're saying that, the people around wouldn't have called him that, like his mother and everything like that wouldn't have called him that, sure. But to say that nobody called him Jesus, and then to say that, they're all the same name, that really kind of doesn't, I don't know. I may be tripping though. Let me know in the comments. Am I tripping? Am I tripping with that conclusion?
Hoping you're enjoying it so far. If you are, I do have a related video just for you. It's titled The 10 Differences Between Muslim and Christian Prophets. Yeah, very interesting episode. We do side-by-side comparisons. I'll link to that below in the video description section for you to enjoy after you finish watching this one. We got 5 more facts to look at, so let's continue this episode now. At line number 5, Jesus had 12 disciples. In fact, no, he did not. The belief that Jesus only had 12 disciples is based on the misunderstanding of the 3 categories of Jesus's followers. First was made up of those who came to hear him speak or to be healed by him whenever he entered a town or a village. And the second category, you can label these people as those who followed Jesus from town to town, and these were called disciples according to the Gospel of Luke. Those were about 70 or 72 of them in total. Also, there's the third category of the followers of Jesus. Now, these are known as the apostles. These are the 12 men that Jesus appointed to go off on their own and preach his message.
I can see how people who are unlearned don't know this one. I can see that because people say, oh man, the disciples, the people that followed them, oh, the apostles. I can see that. I can see this one being, that can be confusing to, people.
Independently without Jesus' supervision. So these weren't just mere disciples because they didn't just follow the teachings of Jesus, but they also went to share the message, start new churches in different parts of the world. Also, in the book of Acts of the New Testament, it's mentioned that about 120 of Jesus' disciples were gathered in an upper room. So just to recap, Jesus had many disciples, but he appointed 12 of them to be apostles. Also, one common lie is that Jesus only taught when he became an adult. Jesus was a preacher as an adolescent as well. The Bible describes a time when Jesus was 12 years old, and he was found by his parents preaching in the temple to adults. And according to the Bible, this is what it has to say. After 3 days, they found him in the temple court, sitting among the teachers, listening to them and asking them questions. Everyone who heard him was amazed at his understanding and his answers. When his parents saw him, they were astonished. So not only at 12 years old was Jesus asking questions to other religious leaders, but he was also teaching them and giving them answers according to the text. Also, according to Islamic teaching, we find in the Quran the following verses about Jesus talking while he was in the cradle as a baby. Jesus said, "Indeed, I'm the servant of Allah. He has given me the scripture and made me..."
No. Hex no. Hell no. No. What? No. You don't get to compare the Quran and their lies to the real historical Jesus because they want to pull this from a Gnostic gospel. Come on, now you about to make me flip. I don't know who this brother is, but he about to. I don't know what. I don't know if they're just people that aren't really in the faith like that are just making videos about the faith that don't really. But no, this ain't. You ain't about to say that. Oh man. No, stop it. Get up out of here, man, with that nonsense. Crazy.
A prophet. For lie number 3, did you know that there weren't 3 wise men? It's a common scene depicted in the nativity scene, especially around Christmas time. But it does report that some wise men came to Jesus when he was born, but it does not say how many, contrary to the common belief that there were 3 of them. None of the early church fathers suggested that these wise men or magi were kings either. The term magi used in the Bible is plural. There were apparently at least 2 of them, but there could have been several more. The Bible simply mentions 3 gifts that were presented to baby Jesus: gold, frankincense, and myrrh. We also know from the Bible that Jesus was not a little newborn when they arrived after the Magi visited Mary. Jesus was an only child. This is the lie at number 2. Jesus was actually the firstborn.
Now, depending on who you talk to, this ain't a lie. If I'm not mistaken, Catholics don't believe that Mary had any kids. Now granted, they could be talking about Joseph kid, I don't know. But, I don't necessarily think that it's universally known that Jesus wasn't an only child. I think because some people use the excuse that the words that they used of like brother and whatnot could just mean cousin and things of that nature. I've heard that before by people of the Catholic faith. So, me personally, I believe that, James was his brother and whatnot, and I believe they had brothers. So,
not an only child of Mary. According to the Bible, in the book of Matthew, chapter 13, verses 55 to 56, in this scripture it says, "Isn't this the carpenter's son? Isn't his mother's name Mary? And aren't his brothers James, Joseph, Simon, and Judas? Aren't all his sisters with us as well? Where then did this man get all these things?" And finally, the lie at number 1, Jesus' birthday. Well, the Bible does not specify a day or a month that Jesus was born, but one problem is that A lot of people believe that the birthday was December 25th, but the Bible doesn't indicate that either. An issue does come up with dating the birthday in December, though, is that it would be very unusual for shepherds to be in the field at this cold time of the year when the fields were unproductive. And normally the practice was to keep the flocks in the fields from the spring to the autumn. Also, winter would likely be an especially difficult time for pregnant Mary to travel long distances from Nazareth to the town of Bethlehem, which is about 70 miles. And it actually wasn't until the year AD 440 that the church officially associated December 25th with the birth of Jesus Christ. Also, according to the Islamic belief, the Quran mentions in Surah 19 verses 25, Jesus talking to his mother Mary, and it says, "And shake toward you the trunk of the palm tree, it will drop upon you ripe, fresh dates." Typically, palm trees begin to bear fruit in April or May and are ripe for picking around August to September. So yes, when we look at the biblical accounts and the Quranic accounts, it just wouldn't necessarily make sense for Jesus to be born on December 25th. And common belief is that he was born sometime in the fall, maybe even early spring. All right.
Yo, man, so that was 10 lies about Jesus. 10 lies about Jesus. The one that they should have put up there, though, was that he was just merely a man. That some of you Muslims and Unitarians and Jehovah's Witnesses and whatnot want to say. That's what they should have put at number one, to be honest with you. That's the biggest lie that was told. But hey, it is what it is, man. I appreciate you for watching up to this point. If you're new, think about like, subscribing. Rock with your boy if you want to. If you've been here before, appreciate you so very much. Love you. Thank you for all your support, love, and all that other stuff. This has been your boy, the Scripture Plug Albert. Catch y'all next time. I'm out.